welcome to the Politricks Watch. This is Sir P. Now, you're not going to believe it. Actually, you are, because you don't know the guy already. Wormy is back on the road. Maybe thinking, Wormy? That name sounds familiar. When me hear talk about this Wormy figure, well, you mean Wormy from the Charmaine Ratry and Jeff Lynch murder? No man, I must not have Wormy. It's him. Never telling you all about it. Not only is he back on the road, but back with the foolishness. Later on in the video, I'm also going to be touching on the facts say, Nigel Walford, the former admin for August 2076, is Journalist of the Year. I know people who actually have that title are upset. How dare you? No, how dare you? Right. I'm going to tell you why Nigel is Journalist of the Year. Started Wormy. And me say he's back. Turns out he wasn't sentenced for the murder of Jeff Lynch and Charmaine Ratry. If that story is brand new to you, right, you can go check it out on the channel. Right. Extraordinary case. Very, very tragic. But me say it's back. See, he was in jail for years, but not for that murder or double murder. You see, where the confusion happened is because Wormy got prison, right, not too long after he was wanted, right, for the Laristan double murder. So they kinda just naturally assume say he was a part of that group. Even though he was wanted, he was still committing, right, various murders, up on robberies. At one point he even shoot off for the police. So Wormy get catch, went to jail for years. But incredibly, he escaped, right, being charged and sentenced for that double murder. When you look on your screen right now, Wormy was number 1 on the wanted list for that killing, right, of the mother and the daughter. Number 1. Right. And by the way, you notice this is over 10 years ago. I'm telling you that the same man them, do the same crime them, as him touch back the road, back to old ways. But notice, Wormy was number 1. First name called. And what made this even more shocking is that Wormy was the one, right, who actually removed the mother's head. It's not enough of them, they were in the house. Some of them with a whole hand and some of them are do this and some of them are beat and some of them, but right, Russian Golden, he was the one, right, that actually, right, finally severed, right, the daughter's head. That's Crystal, as they call her. But Wormy was the one who actually removed the head of the mother. That Wormy is back on the road. Now for the people them who get catch on that, Russian and them either. Now for them were convinced, so them wouldn't go jail. Because them they think say the rest of the gang would have killed the witness. But unusually, the witness wasn't killed. Incredibly, right, the rest of the gang had no interest in killing the witness. You wanna know why? Because of the same deception, right, surrounding Scott. Remember, everybody was so upset that the golden boy Scott was killed. So when Scott did the original story them get, right, they were like, yeah man, Crystal and her mother were dead. Right. People like Hodges, right, people like Blackman, right, makes sense. Them for dead. But then, them go find out say that the kerosene and crab them orchestrate the whole thing. So now, the man them will get hold on upon, right, the rest of the gang, who were not a part of the original plot, had no interest in helping them. Therefore, the witness wasn't killed. More to understand young politics, Remember, originally, the gang supported killing Charmaine Rachi and Joseph Lynch. They were upset when them find out, say, Crab them set up the whole thing. They weren't upset because the two women lose them life and their heads, Blackman in particular was disgusted. Not because Charmaine Rachi and Joseph Lynch did, or what happened, and how brutal they were killed, Remember, but because Crab and him Kerosene set it up. This is why Hadji's and enough other people in the gang started to say, man, I have to go dead back for this. Dead back to the deception. So when you see how the man look on things, right? The problem is not that Charmaine Rachi and Joseph Lynch lose them head, Because based on how things went down according to Crab them, right, she deserved it. But then when they realize, say, and that's how it go, right, no, the man them decides, say, no, hold on, man. Anything they get, them deserve. Right? So, some of the man them get locked up, right? And some of the one them who escape from being locked up were killed by the gang for their deception. Some of the man them get locked up, and for them were killed by the same clans. But Wormy is one of the few who escaped both jail and death. He may not go to jail, as I say, he's back on the road. He's now on the streets and has significantly strengthened Tesha's faction. This is the type of 87 Tesha like work with, and of course them have the history already. Wormy is now actively seeking to bring back quote-unquote the old days, and he's already sizing up people, and people have sized him up. He's made his intentions very clear. See, one of the problems with Iron Man is that too reactive. People just sit back and make things happen and then start running up and down. For years now, me have shown how things can get ugly, and then them get ugly, and then that's when everybody now want to act like them surprised. Me I tell you now that St. Catherine North can turn upside down with somebody like Wormy back on the streets. Remember, bedbugs are for them youth back on the streets now. Q, right, the main person, right, wild and impulsive. Right. Tesha faction, right, Wormy back on the road, wild and impulsive. Them type of youth can destabilize the entire St. Catherine North. Wormy is particularly brutish. Remember the type of 87 who wall somebody and cut out them head. Right. At that generation him come from. Right. The days of the James Hines and them, the sci-fi and the old Laristan youth them are cut off much head. Right. That's the era, right, where Wormy come from. He's back on the road. Now, when you hear me say the man can destabilize St. Catherine North, you think it's a joke, man. You think I'm exaggerating, making up things to get views. Well, that's cause your favorite lecturer in Winnipeg didn't actually tell you how badness works in Ireland. Right now, St. Catherine North, man, is seeing a reduction in murders, but is a place that can go from 0 to 100 very quickly. A lot of the killers are now back on the streets. Not just the man them were already beat the Klansman trial that was supposed to be such a huge success for Iron Man, a huge leap forward that has turned out to be a farce so far. Turned out to be disaster so far. Not just the man they back on the road. Remember originally it was like 50 or 60 lock up. Now there's like 20 little bit left. Not just them on the road, but people like Wormy and them man back on the road. So when she said the same people them who did they run one time, St. Catherine North, right, was a war zone, are now slowly repopulating the streets. And them all have a side. And they pick them side. And everybody want to feel them side to have complete control and quote unquote run things. So now Wormy are going and make people know say, right, theme boss, right, I have to get back Spanish now. Right, bring it back to the old days. Theme boss, we might talk, as me say, Tesha. The problem with that is Wormy died jail for years. Spanish Town look different now. St. Catherine North look different now. Right. People who were once enemies are now allies. People who were once allies are now enemies. In order for Wormy and Tesha them, right, so them plan come to reality, they may need to get rid of a number of people who currently in them way. Right. Just to name a few. Right. Termite, bed bugs, right. You have tick man them, all them on them. So Wormy make it clear, so all of them on there, right, a pretender, and him now ready, right, to bring things back to how it used to be. That's why I say Wormy has sized up people, and people have sized him up. Right. Once you hear the chatter in the street, right, anyway you see him this, and he must anyway him see them this. Remember, we're talking about proactive. We can sit back and make things happen and then be reactive, or we can be proactive. Like you know, the intel, so in case anything kick off, but I still don't act like say we never know this could happen. Now you hear me mention termite and bed bugs them, Hazy and Smokey might touch by the road. You mention Tickman them. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, so what? Who cares if Wormy kill one of them or one of them kill Wormy? Right. Most 87s know that killing a gang leader will trigger a massive war and avoid it. This is part of the reason Dons don't get killed as often. It's not because they're untouchable. Enough of your favorite Don them stand up in a dance and drink liquor and get drunk and unarmed to them. Right. People really want to get to them, they can't get to them. But the 87 them would have do that. No say, right. All hell go broke loose if I kill the Don. Right. But guess what? Some 87s not just don't care, but actually want this to happen. Because through this chaos, them can help reshape the ground. Wormy is like this. And they say Mark and claim say the quote-unquote general put him in charge, right? And him go restore him leadership, as in restore Tesha's leadership before him come on road. You hear me just a while ago? Before him come on road. As far as Wormy is concerned, right, it look like as far as Tesha is concerned, right, he might touch by the road. Right. Look like he's confident he might go win his appeal. And let's just say, with the history of the Ironman justice system, I wouldn't even be surprised. Why do we not just let them kill each other, you ask yourself, right? I mean, it's the easy option. Suppose, for example, Wormy was to go kill somebody like a termite, or kill somebody like Q from bedbugs, kill somebody like Tickman, or let's say termite then go kill Wormy. And you're thinking, well, they might get rid of themselves, what's the big deal? That's counterproductive and is a nightmare if the goal is murder reduction in Ironman. I know, right, it sounds crazy, right? That we shouldn't let 87s, shouldn't let gang members kill themselves. We know that sound, you're like, well, left them, make them dead, yeah, go like, it's counterproductive. Especially with the higher ranking members of the gang. Because of what? By now you should know. Because of what rule in the badness? Somebody off the dead back. And especially when these senior members are targeted, trust me, Spanish Town can get real ugly. But you know that already still. Remember Spanish Town got quiet when the 60 man them get picked up in 2019 for the Transman trial, the anti-gang. Let's say 20 out of the 60 they get killed by their rivals. That would mean at least an extra 40 murders in Ironman. Like you know some easy numbers everybody can understand. If 20 out of the 60, original 60 where they get locked up, if 20 of them they get murdered by their rivals, that would mean at least 40 murders in Ironman. Because at least one person will dead back to one of them. At least, I'm being generous. I'm giving one retaliation for each murder. In reality, it can be 4 or 5, but may I give one. So whenever a gang like Klansman, whenever a gang like One Order, right, any gang for that matter in Ironman, right, or any country with this culture, Trinidad, Bahamas, St. Vincent, right, El Salvador, right, wherever, Honduras, right, south side Chicago, right, somebody have to dead back. So 20 gang member murder equal minimum 40 murders. Right? Could be 100. Think about this. If black man was killed instead of arrested, right? Black man in prime, when time it was just Tesha and black man. Or even when black man, right, was quote unquote running things by himself, because originally Tesha handed it to him, right? And then black man, right, basically hold on the power. Right? But when black man was, at his strongest, if black man was killed in the streets, right, then blood would run through Spanish Town, right, so much you would need a boat to go home. You would need a paddle boat, right, to paddle through blood to go home. If Tesha was killed in his prime, right, by a gang rival, you would need a paddle boat to go your yard if you live in a St. Catherine North. This is why the justice system, right, is what can keep murders down. Because no 100 bodies drop in retaliation when the gang and its main players are arrested, charged and convicted. Right. The fact that black man they behind bars, Tesha they behind bars, right. Notice, you don't see the 100 murders in retaliation. But if they were killed, people that put back up and left Spanish Town. Right. El Salvador is seeing single-digit murder rate now. Why? Because the government, security forces have the 87s, them have the shooters them. If they were being killed, if MS-13 was killing Barra 18 and vice versa, then El Salvador would be back to the old days of 100 per 100k murders. It's because 87s them off the road. They done them off the road. So the people who are going to do the killing, right, are not present. Right? Because if you leave them to sort out their own matters, murders, it's crazy. By the way, speaking about El Salvador, you see them all over the mainstream media now. Them famous now. And see all kind of news station. Right? I talk about them and the success they're seeing. So yes, young members are safer in jail. But society is safer when they are in jail. Right? That is why you get them in jail and then prevent them, right, from ordering hits. Speaking about El Salvador again, that was one of the key things, right, the government do. They done them, the MS-13, right, were cut off and isolated from the rest of the gang, and they could not send out orders to the 87 them in the streets. And by separating them, right, the communication line get brought down, right, 87s, right, now I get scraped up and I join them down in a jail. Badness is the same everywhere. Right, they done them in a jail, help fuel madness in the street. This is why I say Ironman's Prison Act. That start out not just the down but the water them need to push out. Likewise the Bail Act. Think about this, a country with 6 million people like El Salvador. As soon as the government scrape up the thousands of gang members them, right, murders drop on their toes with 6 million people. Why the rest of the population are just a kill so? Because it's a minority. I do the killing and then go in jail now. So yes, you want to come out for the road because not only do they kill themselves and then the retaliation start, but then them start kill innocent people who not just get caught in them wild shooting, but now them start the whole they can't catch Quark, catch him shot on them thing then. So just like with Q, when time I did warning about Q, I want to see what happened. Well, Wormy is the next one. He might hunt people, people are on him. The authorities them, right? If you make sure this thing don't get to the hand, otherwise St. Catherine North, right, it's going to be spooky. Now, when we talk about Nigel before the video end, that's August 2076. Nigel is journalist of the year. See, why I say that? I don't think he has any official journalist qualifications on paper. But what is a journalist? What is an investigative journalist? And when you think about this, when you look at other countries that have had serious crime problems like Ironman, serious murder problems like Ironman, you will see some of the main people who get targeted and killed regularly are journalists. Just do a basic Google search. How many journalists get murdered in Mexico, right, from the cartel them or the Colombia in Pablo Escobar them days. Even now, just do a simple check on the country. Honduras, check how much journalists are murdered, kidnapped, tortured. Especially the investigative journalist type, or them get killed regular. So yes, Nigel didn't have no certificate on him wall to say a journalist. But he did more investigative journalism in a year than many of your favorite journalists have done in 20 years. You see, many of your favorite journalists, the mainstream journalists, they want to be friends with the artists then. They want to be friends with the politician then. They want to rub shoulders with 116s. They want to be invited to the cool dinner parties and laugh, pour out wine and have a good time. They're not a threat to anyone, especially not the corrupt establishment that exists in Ireland. Criminals don't fear the mainstream media. They fear people like Nigel, August 2876, which is why he spent most of his time being threatened till eventually he was killed. Right. As I said, no people will be upset. How dare you? No, how dare you? And notice how Nigel losing life and the mainstream media is not making much fuss about it. Because, let's be honest, one, they don't respect somebody like Nigel because, it's not a quote-unquote real journalist. Even though that little blogger made people more aware of what going on in the community, right, than your favorite mainstream journalists. Matter of fact, I'd go as far as to say, many of your favorite journalists wouldn't mind them wake up tomorrow morning and hear say, the little YouTuber, John Nigel. And I know you might say, yeah, but you have to remember, say, suppose people don't want to get hurt, that's fine. Right? I'm not saying no journalist should go do what Nigel do or do what me do. However, right, stop going like say, when I investigative journalist because you ain't investigating nothing. And let's just be honest, you ain't investigating nothing. You ain't disrupting nothing. People aspire for titles. Because, I'm an investigative journalist and it's alright, how much gang wanna bring down, how much gang wanna expose, how much 87 wanna put out there. Then can't answer. So that's what we're talking about right now. Right? Nigel is a journalist of the year. Right? He's not going to get it officially, but journalist of the year as far as I'm concerned. Not much nice about it. Instead, it was a half a day story. So 95% of your favorite journalists. 95%. There's a few here and there. But 95% of your favorite journalists are just journalists in a title. Title alone. People like Nigel have done more in educating the masses about what really going on in the streets. Journalists of the year. Once again, R.I.P. Nigel. And as for the people who are threatening, people who take him life. I open the things to the video when I see if there was anything. That wasn't even a warm-up. That was more like a wake up out of the bed and stretch. Things going to get a lot more interesting. So, when I read the monk in the cell phone and I talk and, yeah man, don't worry yourself, man, I don't link so and so. Alright, Mr. and Mrs. have links and somebody tell you, say, I'm going to get this done and never send across this and this I go. We'll see how that go. See, when I do want to do because I know I said the mainstream media now I put pressure on the like how one time, our favorite influencer did. I want to see the world turn upside down. That not happen when time people like Nigel did. When I see the world turn upside down, when I see a big press conference launch, when I see the explanation go on, when I see the promises say, this I get taken care of. Right? Because he's a big influencer. But we must start clout and hype on the go off. Nigel don't have enough clout. Just that little 9-year-old who was raped and killed. Usual people will make them nice one time. Them favorite influencer dead, not nothing to say. Like them phone now work. Them claim say them against this and against that. But you don't get much likes posting Nikita. You don't get much likes posting Nigel. Anyway, Patreon squad, you open the cell. Yeah, you don't know, more life. Ultra squad, see you circling. Bless.